Wilson is no stranger to a lot of you. To some of you, you're meeting for the first time, and you're meeting a real icon here. We're just thrilled that he's here. Thanks for coming by, Bill.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. It's been a while.
What I'd like to know is, after 20 years since we last talked, you still have your hair, and I don't have any.
Well,
how does that work?
It's a lot of Rogaine. A lot of Rogaine.
A lot of Rogaine.
Yes, sir.
Well, you look terrific.
Thank you. Not bad for an old guy.
No. How are you feeling? How's life treating you?
Good. It's been a good 30-year run in New York. I've been in the ministry now 30 in Brooklyn, and it's been interesting to see it evolve. I guess is that the word we can use? Yeah, it's been good in spite of all the, because you know where I live. Yeah. I don't live in the suburbs and commute to the ghetto. I live there. Yeah. And when you live there, it's trade-off. Yeah. That's how it works.
Yeah. Now, for the sake of those meeting you for the first time, I think we need a quick précis of how it is you ended up in this kind of ministry in the first place. Yep. In fact, going right back to the time your mother abandoned you.
Yes, sir.
You sat for 3 days waiting for her to return.
Yes, sir.
And she didn't. And this remarkable man who took you under his wing. Tell us that story.
My mom was an alcoholic, and you and I both know, we're old enough to know, you can take your past and feel sorry for yourself, call 1-800-CRY-BABY, look for people that's going to feel sorry for you, or you can flip the thing around and say, look, it was real, it was painful, it was tough, but I'm not going to be held hostage. But I just made a choice. I wasn't going to be held hostage. Sat on the corner for 3 days, no food, no water. So this Christian man on his way home from work gets out of his truck, right, walks across the street to where I've been sitting and asks me one question. That's it. Now, I'm the pastor of the biggest Sunday school in the world. Why? No bells and whistles, no firecrackers, no burning bush. He looks at me and he says, "Are you okay?" That's it. And I used to stutter really bad when I was little. And I said, "My mother's gone and I'm hungry." And immediately, he gets his wife. She brings me some food. He gets on the phone, and 5 hours from this first point of connection, I'm in a church van on my way to a church camp where I heard the story of Jesus for the first time. So it's that old existential question, can one person really make a difference? We preach it, we talk about it, but most people never really believe it. But that's a classic example how one man whose own son was in the hospital dying of leukemia had every reason, every legitimate reason not to stop, stops, pays $17.50 in 1961 to get me to the camp. That's why today, what I do, I still drive my own Sunday school bus to pick up the kids. Why? I'm picking up myself.
I was going to say,
I'm picking up me. That's why this is still real.
Every one of those kids is you.
Absolutely.
Now, this man, who was kind of an amateur race car driver, as I recall, did he live long enough to see the unbelievable fruit of that one act of kindness?
I brought him to New York several years ago, and I just stood him on the corner. I said, "Dave," I need you to just watch. Just watch. And he sees all the buses and the thousands of kids. And I said, "It's because of you, my brother." Yeah. And see, that's why I go back to that corner where my mother left me every Christmas Eve. I sit there all by myself all night. Done it for years. Been criticized for it. Why? Because I never want to forget where I came from. But the part of the story I never get to tell because we never have time is Christmas Day. I go sit with him. Really? I sit with him. He's older now. He's sick. He won't be around much longer. But I get a chance to sit with him, and now I make sure he's taken care of. There was a time I couldn't take care of myself. I needed somebody to take care of me. Now,
it's reversed.
I like to reverse the roles, and I do it with joy. I do it with joy.
Now, there were also a few pastors who played a critical role.
Oh, yes, sir.
Assemblies of God guys who actually took you into their home.
Yeah. Well, when the camp was over, I had nowhere to live. My mother was gone, so I came back and I lived in a broom closet of the church that this man who picked me up went to, stayed there for a while. Then another pastor came, and I was able to stay with him and some other different folks of the church. And so literally I've I've lived in the church pretty much all my life, and I still live in the church. Nothing's changed. I'm an old guy now, but I'm still living in the church.
You're like a church mouse.
I am the proverbial church mouse. Indeed. Indeed.
Now, Bill,
it's been a great life, hasn't it?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, great life. I mean, you're just a teenager. I mean, you had every reason to be.
No, I was 12 years old.
Yeah,
I was
12.
a little kid.
Not even a teenager. Okay.
Yeah.
You had every reason to be suicidal, to feel sorry for yourself, to be depressed.
Or the alcoholic, which
Well, yeah.
people said, you're going to turn it, because people told me, you're going to end up being just like your mother. But it's choices. It is just choices. This isn't rocket science, folks. This isn't rocket science. It's choices, is what it is.
Who coached you through those turbulent teenage years? Was there a strong male figure who helped you?
You know, I'd like to say there was, but there really wasn't. Yeah. I think being around the church and the church people, that's why I'm a church guy. That's why I'll always be a church guy, because it's about relationships. Yeah. It wasn't any one particular person, but it was just a bunch of people. You know, they all knew my story, the folks at the church. There'll be one lady one week that would maybe do some laundry for me. Every evening, one of the families in the church would get their leftovers, bring them to the church, get it. Like, I was on TV here a little while ago, and the interviewer, kind of a perceptive question, she said, "What was your dream as a child?" Nobody ever asked me that question. And I thought about it for a second, but then I remembered. On my way home from school, because I used to get myself up for school, went there, walked back. But I remember every afternoon walking home from school, I would pray and I would say, "Lord, whoever's supposed to bring me my food tonight, don't let them forget." That was my one meal a day. And they would come to the church. I would come out of the closet, so to speak, and sit on the floor, eat my one meal a day. And that was how I lived for those first 2.5 years. Almost 3 years. But, you know, some people need a mentor, and that's fine. Some people need a tormentor, okay? I have become, now in older life, I'm the tormentor, for these young people, and say, look, you can make this, you can do this. You make choices, you live it out, okay? Your commitment has got to be stronger than your emotions. And you and I both know, with a lot of people, they live on emotion. It's about how you feel. I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like, shut up. It's got nothing to do with how you feel. It's making a decision. As for me and my house, and you can quote scripture, you can make decisions. My commitment, even after I've been thrown off a building in New York, had hepatitis, tuberculosis, stabbed twice, nose broken 3 times, 2 concussions, 3 plane crashes, and shot in the head. And I'm still doing this. Why?
3 plane crashes?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 2 private and 1 commercial. Walked away from all 3. Well, it was 2 walks and a hobble. But I'll go for the 3. Yeah. Nobody walks away from 3.
No.
You know that.
No.
Okay. So, but my commitment is stronger than my emotions. I have chosen to live it. That's why when I tell people I have no retirement plan, you know, they give me the dog look.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk to your dog and your dog goes,
yeah.
Like this. So they all give me the dog look and go, why, if you're not going to retire, why would you need a retirement program?
Well, exactly.
This is it, man. Yeah. This is it until I'm done.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What would you say is the level of your social needs? Now, you mentioned in one of your books, as I was reading it, that you were a bit of an introvert.
Yeah, I was set by myself.
A loner?
Well, because I think a lot of it was the home situation, but also that's why I like being with you, because you asked me great questions. That my face was a little bit deformed. I had to have some operation, I had to have some teeth pulled, had to have my jaw restructured. So if you think this looks bad now, folks, this is really good. Should have seen it a long time ago. And so I used to sit by myself and read books. So I was really kind of that backward, shy kid. But I came to that point. I came to the point when the man picked me up, paid my way to the camp, and the man that was preaching said, if you need Jesus, come to the front. Now that's a bit abstract, you know, for a kid that has no point of reference, because I'd never been to church, but I knew I needed something. So I get out of my seat, walk to the front, right? So the altar's packed. And I noticed every kid that's come to respond to the invitation has a counselor, prayer partner. I was the only one who didn't have one. Now, we're supposed to be praying, but I've never prayed. I tried to pray, but didn't really know what to do. But I didn't know what to do because no one was there like the other kids had. It took me 2 days until finally one of the male counselors, at least he was honest, you know why nobody prayed with me. See, I didn't look like the other kids. And I still had the same clothes on that they picked me up off the street in. Holes in my pants, old dirty white holy t-shirt. And I used to stutter really bad when I was little. But sitting there at the front, don't miss this, folks, please. You need to get this. Sitting at the front. Nobody wants to pray with me. So now my mother doesn't want me. Now the Christians don't want me either. But for the first time in my life, I felt like somebody loved me. Now, how could that be? Because when you come into the presence of God, you don't always need a counselor. Something connected. That was the moment when the whole thing clicked. And that was the beginning. Putting it into motion, whatever terminology we want to use. But I saw it at that point, that there was a shift. I understood something about myself. I felt loved. The people at the church cared for me when nobody else cared for me. And all of a sudden, my life went from boom, this direction, to boom, this direction. That was a defining moment that moved everything.
And then when you were asked to volunteer with a daily vacation Bible school,
That's right.
That's when you began to discover, I think, your remarkable giftedness.
That was another defining moment.
Yeah.
Because my pastor said, will you drive the van?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No audible voice again, no burning bush. See, folks are waiting for these extra canonical revelations of some sort to move them, when the reality is, and this is going to bother some folks, but the need is the call. The need, if you see a need and you can fill that today, that's the call of God for you today. It's the big door that opens on the really small hinges.